Yeah. Hello, guys. It's Elteachar at Imam One Radio Show, and today I wanted to talk about. I want to go through Surah Al-Hijr. So last time we kind of went through the first half, and now we're going to go through the second half. But a very crucial point I want to talk about today is the tongue. And a lot of times, as Muslims in our own communities, the way we talk to our own kind of people is in a way a very sharp way, and a very crucial point in Islam is we need to speak to people nicely. But a lot of times we find ourselves in our own communities sort of talking badly or backbiting or gossiping or kind of talking sharply. And one of the most important traits of a Muslim is supposed to be their character. So ethics, their character type, how do they treat others? And this is a crucial point that I think gets overlooked. Oftentimes in our religion, a lot of us view it as a protocol-like religion where, okay, let's do action A and we'll go general. Although in reality it is that way, but also we need to understand that behavior and how we carry ourselves is extremely paramount, over, it should be prioritized over maybe other things like wealth or hoarding wealth. Anyway, so we'll get to Surah Al-Hijr now. So last time we did kind of the beginning half. Now we're going to go from ayah 30. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. فَسَجْدَ الْمَلَائِكَةُ كُلُّهُمْ أَجْمَعُونَ. So basically here it says the angels prostrated all together. Sorry. So basically here it's just saying that a big part of Surah Al-Hijr is when we were linking it to Surah Al-Baqarah last time when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the angels that he will be creating humans, and then the angels replied with, why would you create humans when they will spread corruption? And obviously the response afterwards in Surah Al-Baqarah is, I know what you do not know. That was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's response towards the angels. But also that ayah, it was kind of amplifying the importance of us as creatures, as in we are sort of in a higher rank than angels in the angle of we have free will, but angels don't have free will, as they are kind of they can't really choose what to do. They were designed to prostrate, and that's kind of it. So ayah 31 is illa iblis aba an yakuna ma'al sajidin. So this is where it mentions that Iblis or the Shaitan or Satan is the entity, or so Shaitan was an angel before. Then obviously when he kind of deviated against, he became obviously he was kind of he left kind of the right path. He went down the wrong path. So essentially this is a good resemblance of ego, and you could also argue in ayah 31 that maybe this is where human ego originates from. So why is it that as humans we are oftentimes stubborn, even when someone's trying to advise us? Why do we act stubborn, or why do we act like we're better than others? And this is a crucial point. قال يا إبليس ما لك إلا تكون مع الساجدين. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked, O Iblis, so why do you not join others in prostration? So why do you not join others in sujood? And I think the thing that stands out for me in this surah is the fact that there's a lot of themes of ego in this surah, and I think that's the main message that I get when I read, especially the middle part of this surah. It's that what's the origin of human ego, and why is it that in the same way how the Shaitan was very stubborn in not prostrating. Oftentimes as humans we find ourselves in similar positions where we are very stubborn. We don't want to accept genuine advice from someone. So that's a crucial point. Ayah 33 is قال لم أكن لأسجد لبشر خلقته من صلصال من حمإ مسنون. So is it? Oh, is it good now? Is it good now? Yeah. Yeah, is it good? Yeah, okay, cool. So ayah 33 is قال لم أكن لأسجد لبشر خلقته من صلصال من حمإ مسنون. So this is saying that he replied, it is So basically, the shaitan is being very egotistical here and is saying that why should I prostrate to a creature that was made from tain or mud. So in Arabic, tain is mud essentially, or clay or kind of soil. Ayah 34 is قال فأخرج منها فإنك رجيم. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded to Iblis, so leave, for you are cursed eternally. And I think the beautiful thing with Surah Al-Hijr is even the shaitan with his state, he still requested from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, leave me to أغوينهم أجمعين. That's what it says later on. So leave me to distract them all and then punish me. So even, this is how powerful Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. Even the shaitan knows his position and he needs to ask for permission. So that is quite beautiful. It's like, as humans, it feels like there are humans out there, we don't want to go into politics, but there are humans out there in what it seems like they believe that they're in a godlike state and they believe that they can defy everything. They believe that they can defy ethics. They believe they can defy morality. And it's quite sad, if you look around you, there are humans that maybe will be present in your own lives where they believe they can define natural laws, and it's quite sad. So ayah 35 is وَإِنْ عَلَيْكَ اللَّعْنَةَ إِلَى يَوْمِ الدِّينِ. So essentially this is where it says, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, for surely condemnation will be upon you until Yawm al-Qiyamah. So I think the beautiful thing with this surah is the fact that it amplifies the origins of the universe. And I think, when you speak to people that don't believe in theology or maybe don't believe in a God's existence, for instance, a lot of their questions will be answered if they read this surah, so Surah Al-Hijr, because it says وَإِنْ عَلَيْكَ اللَّعْنَةَ إِلَى يَوْمِ الدِّينِ. So essentially it's telling you why we even exist. So essentially this Surah Al-Hijr, which is the Rocky Tract, it's telling us many things. It's telling us that before our existence there were angels, and Shaitan or Satan was part of the angels, but he refused out of ego and out of showboatiness and thought he was a macho individual where, why should I prostrate to Prophet Adam, peace be upon him? So he defied that, right? And that's why we were and then the shaitan, Satan, requested from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give me time, let me distract the humans. After that, then you can take the course of action. And that's when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and surely upon you is condemnation until the day of judgment. And that's ayah 35 of Surah Al-Hijr. وَإِنَّ عَلَيْكَ اللَّعْنَةَ إِلَى يَوْمِ الدِّينِ. Yawm al-Din is the appointed time that no one knows. And that means the time that's sort of destined. قَالَ رَبِّي فَأَنْظِرْنِي إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ. So here Satan is appealing, he's asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, delay my kind of end until the day of judgment. And that's a crucial point. Ayah 37 is قَالَ فَإِنَّكَ مِنَ الْمُنْظَرِينَ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, essentially, you will be delayed, your punishment will be delayed. This is towards Satan. إِلَى يَوْمِ الْوَقْتِ الْمَعْلُومِ. So until the appointed day. And that would mean, appointed day essentially means judgment day. So the day that's been appointed that no one actually knows when judgment day will be. And that's a crucial point. قال ربي بما أغويتني لأزينن لهم في الأرض ولأغوينهم أجمعين. So Satan responded, my Lord, for allowing me to stray, I will surely tempt them on earth and mislead them altogether. So I think ayah 39 is quite beautiful because Shaitan was the one that didn't prostrate to Prophet Adam, peace be upon him, when he was created. But also now he's blaming Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is kind of, ayah 39 in Surah Al-Hijr shows you how the human state is. A human will commit a bad act and will know the reasons as to what led them to committing the bad act. But then they'll gaslight themselves and others to believe that what they did was right. And this is what ayah 39 resembles for me. It resembles human nature. Like, people will do the most inhumane things to the human mind, but then they'll emotionally cushion themselves and gaslight themselves to feel like it's justified, and this is what ayah 39 kind of brings to mind. It says, Satan responded, my Lord, for allowing me to stray, I will surely tempt them on earth and mislead them altogether. So the question is, how did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not allow shaitan to go astray? Is Satan himself that led himself to do that? He was the one that didn't prostrate. But you can see ayah 39 is an example of gaslighting behavior. So it says, Satan responded, My Lord, for allowing me to stray, I will surely tempt them on earth and mislead them altogether. Then ayah 40 is, Illa ibadika minhum al-mukhlasin. So except for your chosen servants among them. So yeah, so essentially, apart from the people that actually have faith, they will be the only ones that won't be deviated from the right path. Ayah 41 is قال هذا صراط علي مستقيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, this is the way binding on me. So essentially, the beautiful thing with this verse is the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has faith in us. Because look, it says قال هذا صراط علي مستقيم. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that there will be humans within the population that generally do care and generally do want what's good for others. إن عبادي ليس لك عليهم سلطان إلا من اتبعك من الغاوين. So you will certainly have no authority over my servants except the deviants who follow you. So yeah, so essentially to sum up a big chunk of Surah Al-Hijr, Surah Al-Hijr talks about a few common themes. Our desires, our ego, how Satan or Shaitan sort of likes to deviate us, and through our own means we try and justify our own actions. For example, someone may lie and they'll try and justify their lying by saying, oh, it's a small lie. And people do this on a regular basis. They will lie about things. And yeah. Ayah 43 is وَإِنَّ جَهَنَّمَ لَمَوْعِدُهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. So surely hell is the destined place altogether. So obviously those that have followed Satan and Satan's desires, so basically they'll be in hell, is what it's saying. لَهَا سَبْعَةُ أَبْوَابٍ لِكُلِّ بَابٍ مِنْهُمْ جُزْءٌ مَقْسُومٌ. So basically saying hell has 7 gates and each of them has a designated gate. Yeah, is it? Oh, is it still? Yeah. إِنَّ الْمُتَّقِينَ فِي جَنَّاتٍ وَعْيُونٍ. So anyway, it's saying that those that are righteous will be among gardens and springs. And this is the first glimpse in Surah Al-Hijr mentioning how heaven would be. So have Ayun is springs, so springs of water. And Jannatin here means gardens. Udkhuluha bisalamin aminin, and enter it in peace and security. So there'll be no backbiting in heaven, and there'll be no kind of crimes, there'll be no okay, we're gonna have a break, guys. Yep. Hello guys, we're back on Iman One Radio Show, and so earlier before I was reading the Quran, I was talking about the sharpness of the tongue, and this topic right here is, I think, one of the most underrated topics, as in it's not spoken about enough, and oftentimes, of course, Salah is one of the most important things. That's no doubt, but also the way you treat others has a huge impact on the community. Now, to break it down, it makes a lot of logical sense because, for example, if I'm speaking to anyone and they don't have to be Muslim, that's not even part of the discussion. If you speak to them, you know, not nicely, how do you think they're going to feel? And what is the domino effect of that? So, oftentimes, if we mistreat people and talk to them harshly, we're not going to lead to a fruitful society. We're going to lead to a very, destroyed one, and people essentially, people will feel defeated. It's the way we treat each other as humans has a huge impact on society as a whole. But a lot of people don't seem to think about that, and they don't seem to think how they treat others, whether it's their friends, whether it's their family, or how they talk to their friends. Do they check up on their friends? And this is a key part in Islam, and we need to be careful of having a sharp tongue, and that's a very crucial point. Okay, so back to the Quran. So we were on ayah 40. So we were on ayah 46. "Udkhuluha bisalamin aminin." So this one is those that have believed and those that have gone against Satan, they will enter heaven in peace and security. Ayah 47 is وَنَزَعْنَا مَا فِي صُدُورِهِمْ مِنْ غِلٍّ أَخْوَانٍ عَلَى سُرُرٍ مُتَقَابِلِينَ. So this says we will remove any bitterness or sort of animosity in their hearts towards others, and they will be on thrones facing one another. So that's how kind of heaven is depicted in the surah. So originally it said gardens and springs, reference to heaven. And another one is they referenced thrones facing one another. So ayah 48 is لا يمسهم فيها نصب وما هم منها بمخرجين. So basically in heaven it says that there's going to be no such thing as fatigue, as in you won't hear any extra talk, any backbiting, any gossiping. And that's the difference between the dunya and in heaven. Heaven there will be full security. You don't have to worry about someone attacking you or lying or backbiting. Ayah 49 is نَبِّئْ عَبَادِي أَنِّي أَنَا الْغَفُورُ الرَّحِيمُ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that so it's directed towards the prophets, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, or other prophets or messengers, depends. So it says, inform my servants, O Prophet, that I'm truly the all-forgiving, most merciful, and وَإِنَّ عَذَابِي هُوَ الْعَذَابُ الْأَلِيمُ. Now, I think the crucial thing about this ayah is, notice how so it says so basically before the verse about my torment is indeed the most painful, it mentions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the prophets and messengers, tell my people, as in humans, that I am the all-forgiving and most merciful. So it's as if we're being introduced to the punishment as well, but in a way the mercy verse comes before the punishment. So it's kind of like emotionally it's showing that, even contrary to what a lot of people say the Quran is all about punishment, when it's not. When a lot of times it's about ethics, behavior, how you should act to someone else, what's someone's rights over you. Because an important thing in Islam is, what is another person's rights over me? What is my obligation towards another person? And that's crucial. And I do believe that's something that people don't emphasize when talking about Islam. It's so if I'm speaking to a person, what's their rights over me? Because people have rights, and in Islam there is a right. People have rights for every context of life. So it says وَإِنَّ عَذَابِي هُوَ الْعَذَابُ الْأَلِيمُ, and it says ayah 51 وَنَبِّئْهُمْ عَنْ ضَيْفِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ, and inform them, O Prophet, about Prophet Abraham's guests. And إِدْ دَخَلُوا عَلَيْهِ فَقَالُوا سَلَامًا قَالَ إِنَّا مِنْكُمْ وَجِلُونَ. So who entered upon him and greeted him with peace, he later said, "Surely we are afraid of you." This is probably referring to a story. So this is referring to the guests of Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, and when his son was kind of when he received the news that his son was going to be born, um, and قالوا لا توجل إنا نبشرك بغلام عليم. So it says they reassured him, "Do not be afraid. Surely we'll give you good news of a knowledgeable son." And yeah, so that's a crucial point. So as a side topic, I wanted to briefly talk about, a lot of times in our generations, I feel like there's a miscommunication or misunderstanding between the older generation and the younger generation. And oftentimes that misunderstanding exists because a lot of times, let's say, the youth or people my age or younger, where we're born in the UK, and a lot of times our parents weren't, there's sort of a miscommunication because sort of living in this country, you're exposed to a different set of culture compared to, let's say, in the Middle East. So a lot of times I think between parents and children there is misunderstanding, and I think that also leads to sort of some issues within family dynamics, and that's something that I would need to talk about more deeply, but I probably don't have enough time to go into that quite deep. But a lot of times from speaking to different people, like guys my age or slightly younger, I think the common theme is a lot of times our generation or the youth in the UK, the Muslim youth, feel like they're misunderstood by their parents. Now, why is because it's a different time with a whole different set of issues. So every generation has their own trials and tribulations. Our parents had their own issues socially. Now we have our own problems with social media, with the internet. So, and every new time, when you have an issue socially, you need to present a new sort of solution to combat that. So that's a very important point that I'll need to delve in deep, maybe in my own videos on my channel, or maybe on this radio show at another time. On Ayah 55 says, قالوا بشرناك بالحق فلا تكون من القانطين. So they responded, "We give you good news in all truth, so do not be one of those who despair." And this is a crucial theme I want whoever's listening to pay attention to. This verse right here is basically, to me, it's saying that don't lose hope no matter what happens in your life. It essentially says, do not be one of those who despairs. Essentially, despairs means loses hope, and that's a crucial point. قال ومن يقنط من رحمة ربه إلا الظالمين الضالون. Sorry. So it says, he exclaimed, "Who would despair of the mercy of the Lord except the misguided?" So I think we can definitely conclude a big part of Surah Al-Hijr is about hope. So amal in Arabic. So having hope, not being despair, no matter what our circumstances are. And of course, in this dunya, no matter what age we become, and the older we get, the more we realize this life is more confusing. I feel like as I get older, the less I know is what I realize. When I was like 20 years old, I feel like I knew more than I know now. As I get older, I get more confused by this world, and that's how it feels like. So Ayah 57 says, قَالَ فَمَا خَطَبَكُمْ أَيُّهَا الْمُرْسَلُونَ. So he then added, "What is your mission, O Messenger, the angels, etc." Ayah 58 is, قَالُوا إِنَّا أَرْسَلْنَا إِلَىٰ قَوْمٍ مُجْرِمِينَ. So they replied, "We have actually been sent to wicked people." Now, an important part, we talked about this in Surah Al-Hijr earlier, is the verse where the people of the Qawm that were kind of denying the existence of God or denying the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they were saying that we would believe if you sent down upon us the angels. Now, of course, think about this logically. The whole point of religion is you're believing in the unseen. If you could see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in, let's say, in front of your eyes empirically, what's the point of believing then? Essentially, everyone would believe then. So the whole point of belief or religion is you believe in the unseen. You don't have empirical, literal evidence where you can look at something. You can prove that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists from around you, from nature. Nature is very coordinated, very orderly. The fact that someone in any country may be able to hear what I'm saying on the radio show is in itself miraculous when you think about that. And yeah, that's quite interesting. So إلا آل لوط إنا لمنجوهم أجمعين. So, and for the family of Lot, we will certainly deliver them all. So this is for Qawmi Lot. So Prophet Lot, peace be upon him, when he came on a group of Qawm as well, people, and they had their own trials and tribulations at that time. So, إلا أمرأته قدرنا إنها لمن الغابرين. So, except his wife, we have determined that she'll be one of the doomed. This is referring to Prophet Lot's wife. فلما جاء آل لوط المرسلين. So when the messenger angels came to the family of Lot, and in the Quran, usually Qawm means group of people or community. So for every, obviously before the final prophet and messenger, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, before that, every Qawm or every community, they were sent upon a indar. Indar would mean obviously a book, a holy text, or a reminder, as well as a messenger or a prophet. So when people say that, oh, God is evil somehow, we need to understand that throughout history, every community or every mujtama, every society had a warning, you know. So this is crucial, and this is also why, as a Muslim, it's crucial to be of good character, because as Muslims, we will be judged based on how other Muslims act. And this is a very, very important topic to talk about, because whether we like it or not, if let's say if another Muslim is seen in public acting in a certain way, whether we like it or not, we will be judged, and people will be like, look at those Muslims, they are acting like this. So if we fail to acknowledge this, you know, it's important that our image as Muslims is key. And if we're acting in a way that's not good and it's going to be perceived in a bad way, then you can't really blame anyone. We can only blame ourselves and our own communities. So as Muslims, the vital advice and the most important advice is we need to be of good character. We need to act appropriately. You know, whatever we do behind closed doors, act sensibly and act the same way as you would, you know, behave in public, you know. So no one can be like, oh, look at those Muslims, they're like this. So this is ayah 63. قالوا بل جئناك بما كانوا فيه يمترون. So they responded, we have come to you with that torment which they have doubted. Ayah 64 is وَأَتَيْنَاكَ بِالْحَقِّ وَإِنَّا لَصَادِقُونَ. So we come to you with the truth, and we are certainly truthful. فَأَسْرِ بِأَهْلِكَ بِقَطَعٍ مِنَ اللَّيْلِ وَاتَّبَعْ أَدْبَارِهِمْ وَلَا يَلْتَفِتْ مِنْكُمْ أَحَدٌ وَامْضُوا حَيْثُ تُؤْمَرُونَ. So this is a story here, but it says, so travel with your family in the dark of night and follow closely behind them. Do not let any of you look back and go where you are commanded. This is a story, and it has a few metaphors intertwined in this ayah. Ayah 66 is وَقَضَيْنَا إِلَيْهِ ذَلِكَ الْأَمْرَ أَنْ دَابِرَ هَؤُلَاءِ مَقْطُوعٌ مُصْبِحِينَ. So we revealed to him this decree: those sinners will be uprooted in the morning. So to kind of recap what we've gone through briefly, in Surah Al-Hijr, a very paramount theme is how Jannah has been depicted. So Jannah has been depicted as sort of gardens and springs, a place where when you enter there is utmost peace and security. When you're in Jannah, you don't have to worry about you getting sued or slandered or worry about someone robbing your phone. It's just utmost peace and security. You know, something we dream of in this dunya. You know, I think if you think about it for a second, imagine if we lived in an earth where no one lied. You know, imagine that for a split second. So that's how Jannah will be. No one will lie. All you will hear is good talk, you know, and there won't be any haram or halal in Jannah. Everything is pretty much permissible. It doesn't mean that, oh, haram is permissible. As in, because the people in Jannah are righteous, they wouldn't want to be inclined to that anyhow. But so ayah 67, وَجَاءَ أَهْلُ الْمَدِينَةِ يَسْتَبْشِرُونَ. And there came the men of the city rejoicing. This is referring to the story earlier mentioned. قال إني هؤلاء ضيفي فلا تفضحون. So Prophet Lord, peace be upon him, said, indeed, these are my guests, so do not embarrass me. This is the story of Prophet Lord, peace be upon him. And وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَلَا تُخْزُونَ, and fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and do not humiliate me. This is Prophet Lord, peace be upon him, talking to his qawm, or his people. And they responded, have we not forbidden you from protecting anyone? قَالُوا أَوَلَمْ نَنْهَكَ عَنِ الْعَالَمِينَ. And this is so this is basically Prophet Lord, peace be upon him. Have we not forbidden you from taking anyone? So this is his qawm, his people speaking to Prophet Lord, peace be upon him, and they're kind of gaslighting him, as kind of always was done to the messengers and prophets, you know. So I think the interesting thing, and I made a video about this on my channel, where I spoke about why is it when, even though someone has a right message, when someone brings a new idea, like let's say Islam at the time, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was mocked, you know, and treated very badly. So why is it that when something is introduced to society as a new phenomena, the person or the sender or the messenger is always treated badly? Well, the answer is, as humans, we like comfort, and every human wants comfort. For that reason, comfort is also our enemy, because comfort is the difference between becoming successful and failing, because comfort is what will keep us sedated in a way and will keep us numb. فَأَخَذَتْهُمُ السَّيْحَةُ مُشْرِقِينَ, and the mighty blast, so sayha means scream, overtook them at sunrise. So there probably was a sayha at the time. So when Ali Lot, so the people of Lot at the time, when they were kind of disobeying the command of the Prophet, Lord peace be upon him, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then they were punished for that, from a sayha, which is a scream essentially. فجعلنا عاليها سافلها وأمطرنا عليهم حجارة من سجيل. So we turned the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah upside down and rained upon them stones of baked clay. إن في ذلك لآيات للمتوسمين. And basically it's saying, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, surely these are the signs for those who contemplate. وَإِنَّهَا لِبَسَبِيلٍ مُقِيمٍ. So essentially, basically this is referencing other surahs in the Quran where it talks about anytime anyone has been punished, there has been clear warning signs as to why, you know, how they will be punished and why they will be punished. So yeah, ayah 77 is إن في ذلك لآيات للمؤمنين. So basically it's saying, because of Prophet Lord, peace be upon him's qawm, their destruction, it's basically using that qawm as a sign to those who believe or disbelieve essentially. And this is sort of a counter remark to any of the people that claim that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is evil, when there is clear kind of signs or warnings in the Quran, as so if you disobey, this will happen. So it's not like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God, is literally wanting to punish us. There is signs before as to what is good behavior, what is morality, and throughout the Quran we're given strict kind of, when I say strict, I don't mean harsh or aggressive, I mean there is protocol in place that tells you what are good morals. And like I said earlier, a common theme we find ourselves in our own communities is the way we talk to each other sometimes is harsh. And oftentimes, if I'm allowed to say this, this usually may come from the older generation towards the younger generation. Oftentimes, the older generation will tell us, respect the elders, but then in the Quran it says, احترام الكبير والعطف على الصغير. So oftentimes, I find from my personal experience where the older generation will use the Quran in a way to be like, respect your elders, but then it also says, speak softly towards the younger generation. But where do we find that oftentimes? I don't know. It's just a question to ask. Ayah 78 is وَإِن كَانَ أَصْحَابُ الْأَيْكَةِ لَظَالِمِينَ. So it says the residents of the forest were truly wrongdoers, and this is referring to a story of a qawm as well. Ayah 79 is فانتقمنا منهم وإنهما لبإمام مبين. So it says, so we inflicted punishment upon them. The ruins of both nations still lie on a well-known road. So generally, in the Quran, a lot of the stories that are mentioned are there for a reason, as to become a ibra. Ibra in Arabic means a lesson of some sort. But yeah, so the most important topic that I wanted to talk about today is the way as people we speak to each other. And I do believe that the biggest weapon that every human has is their tongue. And often people, unfortunately, I don't know if they intentionally do it or unintentionally, but that's besides the point. People use their tongue literally as a knife, metaphorically. And the way they speak to others, whether it's backbiting, whether you go to a family gathering, you see everyone just sitting around gossiping. And I get it, gossip sells, but still, it's an important point to talk about. And there's no point just reading the Quran if we're not going to understand what the common theme throughout it is. So speak nicely to others, treat them nicely, and essentially the important point is speak to someone how you expect to be spoken to. And that's a crucial point throughout Islam that I think a lot of us don't put a lot of emphasis on. And I feel like it's a bit of a controversial topic to talk about, but I feel like oftentimes our own communities speak to people that do not belong to our communities better than people that belong to our own communities, if that makes sense. Not to dwell on that for too long. Ayah 81 is وَآتَيْنَاهُمْ آيَاتِنَا فَكَانُوا عَنْهَا مُعْرِضِينَ. It's saying that we gave them our signs, but they turned away from them. And consistently throughout the Quran, there's a lot of mentions of signs. So the whole point of messengers or prophets being sent and the stories being relayed throughout the Quran is to essentially so we can learn from it, not so we can just read the Quran, read juz's and be excited that we finished the juz'. We need to learn and, as they say in London, deep what the Quran is saying, like understand what the Quran is saying and kind of understand that a lot of the Quran is not just instruction, it's about ethics. It's a way of life. And there's many themes, like, for example, speaking nicely to others, enjoining the good, forbidding the evil, not showing off in a way, and even showing off could be maybe tone of voice. Oftentimes, when we watch TV, even the way some people talk, it's like you can tell they talk with ego. So I think even as Muslims, we need to talk gently towards others, so they don't think that it's like the earlier topic I talked about. As Muslims, we need to act accordingly, because if one of us acts bad, we are going to be grouped and people will say that, look at these Muslims, why are they acting this way? So it's very crucial. So as Muslims, when we complain in our communities, why do people view us in a certain way? I think we need to act correct in a way so people cannot use one individual as an excuse for us as a collective. And that's the most important thing I want to talk about today and kind of leave you guys with that message. As Muslims, we need to act ethically and act nicely. So no one or no news media can be like, oh, look at these Muslims. They are like this. And that's a crucial point, because Islam is a beautiful religion. Whether us as the followers follow it is a discussion for another day, and not really for me. I don't have the knowledge to discuss that. But yeah, it's a crucial point. And I think I'm nearly done. Yeah, and thank you guys for tuning in. It's Elteachar. I'm out. Follow me at Elteachar. Thank you so much.